when I look at this bill, like especially after talking to the city commissioner, talking to the officers that are there, like this was written by boaters, and it was written for boaters, true boaters, people whose boats actually move.
But some form of this bill needs to be passed so we can get rid of these unsavory characters and get them to move out of the area or stop these actions altogether.
Welcome to a special episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And today we're going to be talking about a very important subject. Now, recently we had a video that a lot of people watched about some bills that are being introduced to the Florida state legislature, specifically impacting boaters. Now, the great thing about that video is that we actually got a call from the city commissioner of Miami Beach, who invited us out specifically to show us the problems that House Bill, 481?
House Bill 481, correct.
House Bill 481 is directly addressing.
So it is anchor limitations, 30 days of anchoring within a 6-month period, no more.
Right.
For any county that has a population of greater than 1.5 million or special areas, designated special areas that are experiencing something.
Also, it provides the local counties.
It returns these lawmakings to the local counties and or local municipalities, which is what we experience.
Right. So the reason we're doing this is because after experiencing this, we have to actually share some very important information. First off, I'll start by saying that the original video was based off of an article provided to us by a guest writer. So we were expressing his position. Now we get to share the other side. But in this instance, we're actually doing something different.
Yeah, because I feel as if when we went down to meet with the city commissioner and the Marine Patrol down in the city of Miami Beach, it really opened our eyes to the problems that they were experiencing locally and why City Commissioner Suarez has co-authored or helped draft House Bill 481 and what his intent was and where the intent originated from. And now we have seen this problem that they're experiencing firsthand, and me personally, it has changed my perception of this issue. And I feel like it changed your perception as well, and several other people's perception. And I believe just about everybody that would see this,
if anybody saw this, I feel
may
they
change
would
their perception.
Yeah, they would fully support this bill because that's the stance I'm taking. Right.
Correct. And realistically, I am too. There are certain parts of the argument that I will put aside, but looking at the problem by itself, it has changed my perception of the issue.
Now that we were able to experience the full picture of what this is meant to address, it's important and even responsible to take a stance and say, we support this bill. Right. And here's why. For me, there is a massive criminal element. That's the only way I really can express it from my experience. There's a massive criminal element that has been finding loopholes in all the current legislation so that they're now able to take advantage of the taxpayer. They're now able to take advantage of the boating community. They're now able to take advantage of isolating certain areas that repel actual boaters and actual cruisers and actual marine lovers from experiencing what they want to experience. They're pushing them away.
At the same time, they're creating a safety hazard, an environmental hazard.
Huge environmental hazard.
The issue at hand that we're seeing here is there are some unsavory characters that are anchoring and staying anchored for a very prolonged period of time.
They're squatting. They're straight up squatting.
We can call it squatting.
That's the way I see it.
So they are staying anchored for very long periods of time to the point that there is so much growth on the hull of these boats that it adds massive weight to the boats. And that is ultimately what is causing some of these boats to sink. And these people are of very unsavory characters. Most of them have some form of a criminal background. And then what they're also doing is there is an element to this that is because they are such unsavory characters, and it is such an eyesore, and it is such a creating such a safety hazard and hurting the environment around it, that it is driving away the actual boaters and cruisers that are transient to the area. So this law is designed to make these people feel some discomfort, but as well as this law will help the law enforcement be able to combat this issue, to which now Ian had mentioned that there are some loopholes that these people are utilizing. So what we experience is these anchors, and some of them are not even anchored. That's what baffles me.
Yeah,
they are actually anchored to a sunken vessel that's nearby.
So if you think about that, a vessel sank. Before they could come in and remove that sunken vessel, these people anchored to it.
They're not even using an anchor. They're
just tied up to it, right? They're tying a line to
a sunken vessel and using the sunken vessel as their anchor.
Exactly. And so all of the elements that cause damage to the environment, fuel. Right?
So if they have any fuel on board at any point in time when this vessel sinks, it is being spread into the water. Any oil that they may have on board.
Any waste.
Well, the waste is a whole nother issue. These boats are not moving, so they're not going to a pump out station to pump out their black water tank or anything along those lines.
Oh, no.
And it's going directly into the water. They're either pumping it overboard or they are using a bucket to pour it overboard. And the trash element.
Yes.
They're not disposing of their trash properly. They're just basically throwing that overboard as well.
So the environment is being massively almost destroyed by this presence.
Correct.
And then what they're doing on top of that is they're finding ways to make money off of all of it.
And to elaborate on this, some of these vessels are monthly rentals for liveaboards that are being marketed on Facebook Marketplace for $1,000, $1,200 a month, whatever it may be. And it's just creating a situation to where these are not like your standard apartment dwelling or anything like that. This is, and it doesn't even have a standard of living that goes along with it, right? Because they're basically slumlords.
Right, exactly.
Right? So, and if you know about slumlords, well, they don't take care of the place. You know, it's just disgusting all the way around.
Imagine you go to a city park, right, where you want to spend time with your family, and instead you find an entire encampment of people that are quite literally just taking up the park saying, this is our home and there's nothing you can do about it. That's essentially what's happening here.
That's exactly. And there's nothing on the books right now. Well, there's some of these things that we discussed in our original episode that we thought were laws that would work to help abate this issue, right? But they're not, because they're skirting around this issue, oddly enough, by the propulsion test is one of them, right? So when we go to say, okay, this is a derelict boat, you can't pass the propulsion test, and but what these guys are doing is they will pass around a small outboard from boat to boat to boat to help pass the propulsion test. And it's perfectly legal.
So they get a citation, they go to court, they tell the judge, no, it works now. The officer has to go back out, test the boat, goes back to the judge and says, it does work now. The judge dismisses the case, and then they take that same outboard and they put it on another boat who has their citation and is coming later on, like to another appointment for their citation. And they just literally, this little outboard just bounces around.
Every time this happens, it sets the officer back to square one to trying to get rid of these people.
Exactly.
And that's not appropriate.
He's playing whack-a-mole. Like, that's what he's doing.
And that's what he actually called it.
Yeah, it's like it's whack-a-mole trying to get... But the thing is, because of the laws and the way that they're set up, every time he whacks a mole, they just come right back. It doesn't affect them in any way because they have skirted the system. Right. And that's just wrong.
And the saddest part is that nobody wants to be next to these people because there's been known theft. There's been a whole slew of problems with these people. It's driving away what we used to see of people at anchor that were actual cruisers. They were stopping here for a week or 2 weeks, enjoying the area and moving on as they should.
When I look at this bill, like, especially after talking to the city commissioner, talking to the officers that are there, like, this was written by boaters, and it was written for boaters, true boaters, people that whose boats actually move, right?
Right.
People who actually go and visit docks, people that
I
actually...
think the shocking part of this was more than 95% of the boats that we saw were these people taking advantage of the situation.
Oh, without a doubt.
They have driven away all of the cruisers out of Miami Beach, and
So,
there is just,
for example,
it's horrible.
anchored there, I only saw one cruiser.
One cruiser.
One
known
true cruiser. One true boater. And then as far as...
Out of basically what was 120 boats at anchor.
At least.
In the city area.
At least.
In the Miami Beach city
Yes.
designated area.
Yeah.
Right?
And so what's wild is a lot of times, and a lot of people are saying, and this is why in this episode that we're referencing where we talked about this legislation, I said we don't want to make it an us versus them thing. I use that phrasing specifically because even though I know, yes, there's going to be homeowners and, you know, people that you think are wealthy complaining, oh, I have a bad view. Yeah, I get that people that say that.
Aside,
but if we set that aside, it's not just
it's
that.
still a problem.
That's not the right. They're the ones that are the ones filing complaints when they see people, you know, the debauchery that happens of people that are living lawlessly.
Yeah,
right outside,
refuge
right
over
outside
the
their
side,
window,
committing crimes.
Yeah, of course they're going to be the ones complaining, calling the police to come address it. But they're not the ones that are pushing this bill. It's actual boaters that are pushing this bill.
Right.
And that's, I think, the point that we really need to get across. And that's why I support this bill.
And we're seeing it to the point that, remember when we went by one of the mooring fields, half of the mooring field was filled. Mm-hmm. And these people don't want to be part of the mooring field because they don't want to provide their registration. They don't want to provide a proof of insurance, mm-hmm. you know, all of the documents that you need, and they don't want to pay for the mooring field.
Right.
So they anchor right outside the mooring field, and then nobody wants to be in that mooring field because these are such unsavory characters and create such a problem with their actions and mm-hmm. what they're doing.
Well, and worse off, when you think about all the sunken vessels that are just outside because these people let the vessel, they literally mm-hmm. ride the vessel until it sinks and then they go get a new one and they repeat. Trying to get into that area, it's not difficult. Knowing, you know, whether the sunken vessel has been removed or not.
And that's the safety hazard that I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's just
they're creating safety hazards.
The mooring
and the poor city is left to deal with this. So, but the city and the state.
But the city is their hands are tied because they have to follow this state legislation, and these people have found workarounds.
It's absolutely a shame. So I hope you guys, by watching some of the footage that we are going to be airing throughout, is that you can see what a problem this is. And hopefully maybe you take our side along with the city commissioner Suarez down in Miami Beach, mm-hmm. that, you know, this is a problem. We need to find a solution to it. It may not be this bill, but some form of this bill needs to be passed so we can get rid of these unsavory characters and get them to move out of the area or stop these actions altogether. So we need to arm those local officials mm-hmm. and county officials, whatever it may be, to be able to handle this situation and give them a clear path of how to get these people to abide by the law or to be removed from the area. You know, because again, what we want, and the reason that we're taking this side, is that number one, we don't want safety hazards. It is not fair to all of the boaters that are out there abiding by the rules and want to be safe boaters. Number two is the environment. I do not want to see our environment wrecked by people that are not doing the right things, mm-hmm. you know, and they're doing this on purpose. They don't care about the environment. Mm-hmm. They're dumping their trash over, their refuge over, emptying their blackwater tank, you know, just doing all of these things and have no care for the world. When the boat sinks, they don't care. They're not helping, you know, get the boat back out of the water and take it for somewhere to be destroyed. No, they're going to go find another boat or whatever they can to just, you know, put back in its place, mm-hmm. and possibly in the exact same place and anchor that new boat to the sunken vessel, yep. which is just astronomically just out of my mind. I can't even fathom it. It's just, I'm so upset with it that I can't even bring words.
It's really hard to express how upsetting the situation really is when you actually go and learn about everything that's happening. It's extremely challenging.
So I have to say
verbalize.
A special thank you to City Commissioner Suarez in Miami Beach.
Yes.
That brought us out with Marine Patrol in Miami Beach.
Yes.
And took us around to see all of the problems and what's going on. And we actually personally saw some people and how unsavory and how willing they are to lie
Oh yeah.
right to the
Right
officers.
to the officer's face.
And say, no, I'm going to take care of this. I'm doing this. I'm doing that.
It's
knowing
ridiculous.
that he's not going to. Knowing that he's adding to the problem right in front of them, because that's exactly what we experienced. You can show it in the video of, we're talking about 2 vessels that were tied up. A week before this guy got arrested, he had 1 vessel. Now he's got 2 vessels tied to each other. And it is just, the problem is growing and growing, and it needs to be resolved. And this bill will give the officers a clear path to resolving the issue, getting these people out of the area so we can get true boaters, true cruisers back into the area that are going to help support our economy, not take away from our economy. That's the biggest point to this. These people are causing such a problem that is hurting our local economy. The poor city of Miami Beach is having to deal with this.
The thing is, it's not just Miami Beach. Let's get that point across.
It's everywhere.
This is actually happening across the state.
Right. It's happening even up by where I live. We see it.
Yeah.
You know, in the Palm Beach County area, I don't see it in downtown Palm Beach, but I do see it in other areas around Palm Beach County. You know, so we do need to pass some sort of law. Like I said, it may not be this iteration of the bill. It could be a different iteration of the bill, but we do need to find a way and lobby to give these local municipalities and local counties the ability to deal with this problem.
If you have questions, I would say wherever you are locally, reach out to that local.
Well, we'll do one better. Please, if you have questions, leave them in the comments of this video, and I will get City Commissioner Suarez back on, and we can address them.
You know what? Let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will get City Commissioner Suarez on the podcast, and if you're leaving comments, we can address them with him on the podcast and really go over this problem in detail, because I will help anybody that wants to get rid of this problem at this point in time. I am taking that stance. I will make sure that we can help get something passed that gives local officials the ability to deal with these individuals and still protect our boaters and the boating rights, but be able to get rid of these derelict or squatters, whatever we want to call them, and really kind of try and flush them out of the area, because it is, again, creating such hazards that is not fair to other boaters.
Yeah, because this is a big reason why boaters don't go to certain parks in Florida anymore, is because of these people.
Our cruisers are not coming to this area now and staying for a little while.
That's horrible in my opinion, because Florida has so much to offer boaters. It's such a beautiful state. There's so much to do out here. And all of these people are now essentially being blockaded by this, what I view as a criminal element. It's ridiculous. It needs to stop.
It's got to stop.
Yeah, this is why I support the bill. That criminal element needs to stop.
And we're talking specifically about House Bill 481 that deals with anchoring in a certain area over time. And it's just, we need to find a path to give these officers the ability to address this problem and get these individuals that are taking advantage out of the area, or get them completely gone to where they cannot take advantage, right? So leave your comments. We'll be back to this issue again, I promise. And next time, if you're leaving good comments, we will address them with City Commissioner Suarez himself and what he's experiencing. Until now, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
Or until next episode.
I was going to tell you after.
I got that one messed up because I am so heated with this one. Until next episode, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
We'll catch you next episode.
Sound sync. 3, 2, 1.
Ooh. You can try and sell it, but I'm not buying it.
Right into there.
Yeah, still not buying it.
That's what happened, man.
I'm red.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, you're red. It was crazy. Like, I had to change the color settings on the camera so that you're not as red.
I'm red, bro. I'm red. You ready?
Yeah. You ready?
1, 2, 3. Back at you.
Welcome.
Sorry. All right, I'll let you go now.
All right. Thanks.
You had such a long pause. I was confused.
Well, I was just thinking, like, how do I want to say this?